It is day 17 of our 25 days of reflections towards Christmas. I believe you reflected on our discussion for yesterday. Our reflection today is titled Born in the Manger. One would expect that the birth of the greatest man that ever lived would take place in a presidential mansion, in the palace, or in the best hospital in the world of his time. But he was born in the most humble place, in the midst of animals feeding trough. So the birth of Jesus Christ in a manger is one of the most profound and symbolic moments in history, offering deep spiritual, moral, and practical lessons. Although he is regarded as the greatest man to have ever lived, God incarnate who brought salvation to humanity, his humble birthplace underscored the nature of his mission and character. So, as we reflect, I would like to highlight just 7 lessons from this episode. First, Jesus' birth in a manger, a lowly feeding trough for animals, highlights God's emphasis on humility. Despite being the King of Kings, Jesus was not born in a palace, but in a humble setting in Bethlehem. You can see reference to that in Luke chapter 2 verse 7. This demonstrates that greatness is not defined by wealth or status or outward appearance. Greatness is defined by purpose and not by prosperity. So, as we celebrate Christmas, we are reminded to adopt humility in our lives. True greatness comes from serving others and maintaining a modest and content attitude, regardless of our position or achievements. Second, the setting of Jesus' birth made him accessible to all, from shepherds to wise men. Shepherds who were socially marginalized were the first to receive the good news of Jesus' birth. You can see that in Luke chapter 2, verses 8 to 20. The manger symbolizes that Jesus came for everyone, regardless of social class, wealth, or nationality. Then Christmas teaches us to embrace inclusivity, showing love, kindness, and acceptance to everyone. The message of salvation is for all, and we are called to break barriers of division in class, status, and position, and reach out to the marginalized. Third, Jesus' birth fulfilled numerous Old Testament prophecies, such as being born in Bethlehem. You can see reference to that in Micah chapter 5 verse 2. The manger, though seemingly insignificant, played a central role in God's redemptive plan. This demonstrates that God can use the most unexpected and humble circumstances to fulfill his purpose. Then we are reminded to trust God's plan even when circumstances seem unfavorable. Christmas reassures us that God can bring greatness out of what appears small or insignificant in our lives. Fourth, by choosing a manger for his birth, Jesus challenged the values of a world obsessed with wealth, power, and materialism. His life consistently reflected a focus on spiritual riches over earthly possessions. You can see reference to that in Matthew chapter 6, verses 19 to 21. Christmas calls us to reflect on our priorities. Instead of materialism and extravagance, the season should focus on love, gratitude, and giving to others, particularly the less fortunate. Fifth, Jesus' humble birth set the tone for his life of servant leadership. He came to serve and not to be served. You can see reference to that in Mark chapter 10, verse 45. He washed the feet of his disciples, healed the sick, and ultimately sacrificed his life on the cross. Then Christmas challenges us to lead by serving others. Leaders, whether in families, churches, or organizations, should adopt Christ's model of humility. compassion, and sacrificial service. Sixth, the manger reminds us that God is present in the ordinary and mundane aspect of life. Jesus' incarnation means that God entered into the human experience, including his struggles and imperfections. Christmas teaches us to find God in our everyday life. We do not need grand setting or extraordinary circumstances to experience God's love and presence. 7. Jesus' humble birth offers hope to the poor, oppressed, and the overlooked. The Savior of the world began his earthly life in poverty, affirming the dignity and value of the poor. Then we are reminded to care for the vulnerable and those in need during Christmas. The season should inspire acts of generosity, charity, and justice. As we celebrate this season of the Lord's birth, learn not to judge a man's destiny by his or her place or circumstances of his birth or the status of his or her parent. The greatness of tomorrow can be quoted with utmost humbling circumstances today. We must learn to value others, irrespective of their personality. Do not write a man off because of a seemingly hopeless situation, because his God has the final say. And do not class yourself to exclude the less privileged and downtrodden in your circles. Remember, Jesus identified with the most humbling situations and circumstances as a model for us. Our reflective quote for today says, God's providence in his plans, purpose, and prophecies override any seeming limitations and disadvantages to attaining greatness. Merry Christmas in advance. Join me again tomorrow for another episode. I remain your brother, Reverend Oluwagbemiga Deyemo, Minister for Christian Education, Youth and Family Life, Yaba Baptist Church, Lagos, Nigeria. Once again, thanks for your time. God bless you.